Check one. Check.
Just remember to
Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
Folks, I hope you don't mind us starting early. Obviously, a lot going on. The country, which descended a long time ago into tyranny, fascism, an oligarchy, a dictatorship. It's now happened in New York as this disgusting piece of garbage posing as a judge in a black robe, filthy merch on, has now decided to sentence Donald Trump. And the left is hilariously celebrating, he's a convicted felon. I saw a tweet by Fusion Kendallanian. Now you can call him a convicted felon. Well, fuckwad, now we can call you the CIA's mop-up man. Actually, we can't. They've been calling you that for a long time. Folks, this is all they wanted. I said hilariously because you may say there's nothing hilarious. No, there is something hilarious about this whole thing. What's really laughable about this whole thing is I don't think there's a group of dipshits more responsible for putting Donald Trump in the White House than Matt Colangelo, Tish, and Twinkies up in New York. I really don't. I'm not kidding. I don't think there's a Republican donor, activist, even me, who used this massive audience of the Bongino army to get Trump elected, who did more to get him elected than Twinkies, Colangelo, and Tish. I really don't. I'm not trying to be funny about it.
Yep, we appreciate all of you. Because the more you pushed and the more you lied and the more you came at Donald Trump with all these false BS issues, the stronger we got. The more eyes were opened and the more followers for America Trump built. You guys made MAGA. Because at the end of the day, MAGA is Make America Great Again. Every American citizen should want that. Why not? They, and by they I mean the left, the liberals, made Make America Great Again a negative. And it worked for a little while. But the more they pushed and scraped and lied and sent propaganda to news, all legacy news and all that, the more it became obvious that they were full of, and all we wanted was for someone to make America great again. So thank you to all you guys. thank you, Ron Mershon and Twinkie. We appreciate it. And now, in a few days, once Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Hegseth, Vivek, Elon, Trump, JD, RFK, and many others, sorry if I forgot your name, get put in their positions, it's time to go after all of them and put them all in jail because what they did was wrong. And if they can do it, we can do it. You know, I'm not totally for an eye for an eye in politics. I just want what's best for the country. But we need to make it a point that if you do this, there will be repercussions, whether it's your career, whether it's your freedom, whether it's your ability to get another job in government or Washington, D.C., whatever it is, there has to be consequences. And then this will all end. So thank you, and let's go. And before we get started on this, I just want to say thanks for joining in. My name's John. I deal with the news and politics on America First Hot Takes. My co-host, Mike, is the one that brings in all the current news and all the craziness going around this country. We appreciate you showing up. We appreciate you sitting with us. Please leave a comment. We love to hear from you. We love to talk with you. Our main goal is to just build this little America First, freedom-loving, liberty-loving American army to continue to push this America First agenda in the best way we can do as civilians. So please join in. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Let's do this together. Back to Dan Bongino.
But it is hilarious that a group of Democrat commies got Trump elected where he kicked everyone's ass in every swing state. So I encourage you today to embrace the convicted felon, just like we embraced the outlaw label. Didn't hurt us, right? Results matter. What a hypocrite I'd be if I tell you, hey, I believe in outcomes. And then I get overly emotional about this thing. I'm passionate about what happened, but not emotional. What was the outcome? We won. What was the outcome? We won by a larger margin than the last time. What was the outcome? We won every single swing state, and every single branch of government's now in our control. Don't be a fraud. Dan, you said you're about outcomes. We won. I am. That's the hilarious part about this whole thing. Of course, we're talking about the sentencing today, unconditional discharge. Trump gets no jail time, which would have been hilarious. You think, you really think, what were they going to do? What were they going to do? Send a bunch of deputies to go and pull Trump out of the White House? I was a Secret Service agent, not on the president's detail. I couldn't even walk in the White House without a White House pass. I'm not kidding. You have to be on the detail or the vice president's detail and have an actual hard White House pass. All right, I got a ton to get to. Let me get to it. Hey, Lumen's one of the world's first handheld metabolic devices. I use it. It's a device that helps you measure your metabolism through your breath. It's got.
All right, well, he's going through his ads. What do you guys think about all this? I mean, how dumb is it for them to truly try to convict Trump? What judge would go, oh, I know you have 34 felonies, but no jail time. We're just going to convict you. It's obviously just a ploy for the media to say, first convicted felon as president of the United States. Because think about it. Why don't you go get 34 felonies, go in court, and see if you get to walk out? It would never happen. Most of you get one felony, and this government wants to bury you under the jail. It's all a mess. It's all just for the media. But what they don't know is people aren't listening to the legacy media anymore. Their ratings are in the tank. We're the media now. Dan Bongino, Steven Crowder. God, there's so many of them. Benny Johnson. Steve Turley. Those are your media news. They get millions. Joe Rogan. He's not as political, but he does cover news. They get 50 times the viewership that the legacy media gets combined. So go ahead. call Trump a convicted felon to your 30 people that watch you still. We're good with it. Because Trump's smart enough, he's going to flip this anyway and turn it into a marketing ploy to make him get even stronger. All right, let's get back to Dan Bongino.
Let me get to the first component of what I want to talk to you about today that's critical right here regarding the fake crime, fake sentencing in front of the fake judge, in front of the fake court system, in front of a fake prosecutor, and everything else up in New York with Judge Merchan. Donald Trump was just sentenced. The left is now celebrating and can call him a convicted felon. We, of course, will use that to raise money and influence to hopefully win back the midterms, just like we did the outlaw label last time. Because we're good at that. Because we're good at that. We're good at flipping the script on dipshit, fuckwad, liberal commies because we beat their asses. We've won the last 3 elections. I thought just 2. We won 3. Number one, liberals are celebrating today, not because of the verdict. They're going to, publicly, yes, you're going to see the Jessica Tarloffs and, the other, Karens and liberal losers. You're going to see them like the Ken Delaney and the CIA mop-up man taking a victory lap. But I'm telling you something. I need you to digest this and internalize this because it's true. Even the loser class, the Ken Delanians of the world, they know this was a mistake. Now, they can't publicly tweet out and say something like, well, you know what? We're glad this thing is over. Let's move on. Because what'll happen is the liberal commies that follow them on Twitter will attack them and be like, we got Hitler. Do you understand that? But the smart commies, they're still evil, but they're tactically smart. They know this was a huge mistake. However, they still think it was a success. Dan, what are you saying? This is confusing. You're all over the place. No, I'm not. They know that the convicted felon thing is only going to add to Donald Trump's martyrdom and his legend moving forward. They know that. But they also understand, due to this New York Times article here, Supreme Court denies Trump's last-ditch effort to avoid sentencing. They know they've won because process is punishment to the left. Everybody, let's take a break, okay? Judge Bongino has ruled. Deep breaths. Let's refocus. Because if we don't learn from this educational entertainment, Hat Tip Boogie Down Productions, there is no purpose to this show whatsoever. My good friend Tom Fitton over at Judicial Watch told me this a long time ago. Judicial Watch. I mean, that's what they do. They watch the judiciary. That's why they're called Judicial Watch. Sorry, that sounded like a dick on that one. No, it wasn't intentional, I promise. Tom said process for the left is punishment. The left doesn't really care that he's labeled a convicted felon. They know it's going to backfire. I just said that. What they care about is they have successfully forced Donald Trump to defend himself against a fake crime in front of a fake judge with a daughter who was a Democrat activist. The judge, I believe, is a donor, in front of a fake DA, in front of a fake AG. This is what their goal was. Their goal is to make the process so painful that the outcome doesn't matter. Do you understand what I mean? This is why liberals love things like the IRS. They love things like a weaponized FBI, because they know in the end that if they come knocking down your door because you're a Trump activist with an FBI search warrant, even if the search warrant is based on a source they know to be giving them fake information, they know later on nothing will happen to them. They'll just say, hey, how did we know Christopher Steele was lying? They'll know that, but they'll know that and they'll admit to it later after you've spent $200,000 to $300,000 in legal bills. I'm not going to lie to you, folks. This is a messaging narrative loss for them. The convicted felon thing is a total loser for them. It is only going to add to Trump's aura. Does everybody get that in the chat? Tell me in the chat you're digging what I'm putting down. You're picking up and eating this chili, because you got to understand it. The narrative war for them is completely lost. They lost the election. However, the damage done to constitutional process across the country is maybe at this point, I'm not going to say irreparable, but it's going to be difficult to fix. If they can do this to Donald Trump, the most powerful Republican conservative anywhere in the world, if they can do this to him and drag him through this kangaroo court in New York on a fake crime with no victim, they can do it to anyone. And whereas Donald Trump won't be bankrupted by this, I promise you will. Our Supreme Court, throw that up again. Our Supreme Court is totally, I don't want to say our Supreme Court. Clarence Thomas and Alito, of course, always do the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Amy Coney Barrett has been a total failure. She has been a total failure.
Disaster.
I love Donald Trump, but whoever recommended, I believe it was the Federalist Society, recommended Amy Coney Barrett. She has been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, and this is the difference in this term, this upcoming term, versus Trump's first term. His first term in 2016, he admitted that he had been to Washington, D.C. maybe 18 times total, his life. Was never really into politics. Kept up with it because obviously politics has a big influence in business when you're on a scale that Trump Trump, the corporation. So since he didn't really know Washington, he relied on people to make picks for him. He trusted people he probably shouldn't, and then later found out he definitely shouldn't. And people were picking for him selfishly for them. And it backfired pretty good. I mean, Trump being Trump, he was still able to take a difficult situation and turn it into a success. I mean, really think about that. Not only did he have people pick his cabinet knowing it would hurt Trump and what he wanted to do, he had all the legacy media that would stop on every word he said, turn it, flip it, and make it to be a negative. I think he got 98% bad press in the legacy media, everybody trying to stop everything he did, and he still had a successful term. Now, a lot of those same people see the writing on the wall, realized Trump wasn't so bad in 2016 to 2020. And it was a hell of a lot better than what happened in the Joe Biden administration. So maybe let's see what he has to say. Let's back him and just see if what he's actually saying he can turn into a reality. So now you're getting the Bezos, you're getting the Zuckerbergs, you're getting all these big, high-level influencers starting to go on his side. Elon, RFK, Tulsi, JD, all these people. He had none of them in 2016, but he does now. I think this is where you're going to see the big change. And going back to my original reason for cutting Dan right here for a second is this time he doesn't need to rely on other people to make his picks. So this isn't going to happen again. But that doesn't mean that he's still not going to have to deal with some of the issues that were caused because of him not knowing who to pick and relying on others to pick for them. He still has to deal with stuff like Amy Coney Barrett. Look good on paper, look like a nice, not Republican, because us Republicans, we really don't care about that as much. We just want Supreme Court judges that are not politically influenced. Their only job is to protect the Constitution, whether that's from Democrats or whether that's from Republicans. There is the Constitution and what the Constitution says, and that's all that matters. And we thought that Amy Coney Barrett was one of those, but we're now starting to find out that she will lean one way or the other based on political influence, and that's not what a Supreme Court judge should do.
Amy Coney Barrett is John Roberts Jr. John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett sided with the liberal commies. Now, I expect nothing from John Roberts. He's a clown. John Roberts is a judicial left-wing activist. He is not a conservative. That's why I laugh, and you should never say, folks in the chat, you understand this? If you ever say this in the chat, we may consider banning you. We don't have a 6-3 Supreme Court. John Roberts is a leftist, period. John Roberts has done more to destroy the country. His ruling on Obamacare, his ruling on the census and illegal immigration, his ruling on this. John Roberts is a not just a leftist, a hardcore leftist. Amy Coney Barrett is John Roberts Jr. She has been a disastrous pick. Trump should haul in every single person who recommended her and demand an explanation why. The Supreme Court has now, I need you to understand, because a lot of you in the chat, I know what you're going to say. So here, Scraw F says, reform the judicial system. Yeah, you're damn right. But I want you guys to understand. A couple people in the chat, I'll bet you're thinking this. Well, the Supreme Court didn't totally reject it. They said, let the process play out first, and then we'll take it afterwards. That's the point. That's what the left wanted. Do you understand? The left wanted the Supreme Court to say, hey, weaponize the system all you want, and then when everybody's bankrupt, we'll come in later and clean up the mess when the guy's already bankrupt. That's not justice, folks. I mean, have you not heard the cliche, justice delayed is justice denied? Donald Trump, it's not just justice delayed, it's justice never. The Supreme Court had an opportunity to step up and shut this down. And outside of Clarence Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch, these other, Amy Coney Barrett and Roberts, have now turned into devout leftists. This is what happens when you hire legal professors with no legal experience whatsoever. With no real world experience to go out and be the most important jurors in the land. Process is punishment, folks. Then you have this at Fox News. Our court system is completely collapsed. The whole purpose of the blind justice court system we aspire to is that every single American, if it's Donald Trump or Trump Donald, gets the exact same opportunity at a fair legal justice system that protects due process rights. Donald Trump, this whole case for Jack Smith was thrown out. The appeals court is still going to let Jack Smith release this report on a case with no merit whatsoever, with an unconstitutional appointment of Jack Smith that was thrown out. You have no protection if you're a Republican anymore. None. Zero. Absolute disgrace. Now, because it is Friday, and I want to give you a little bit of good news here. There is a little bit of good news. Number one, I started with, we definitely won the narrative war. They have martyred Donald Trump, and you need to take it and run with it. This convicted felon label is going to explode in their face, Wile E. Coyote style. I absolutely promise you. But if this is not an Evite invitation, get ready for the words I'm about to use. There are 3 words that are going to come out of my mouth in a second. And I want you all to spread them around on social media. Bongino Army, please. It is time right now for total personnel warfare. If this is not an Evite invitation for total personnel warfare when we take over in, 10 days? Then nothing else is. Folks, I need you to understand another cliche. Again, cliches can be valuable and they can be stupid. They're valuable because everybody understands them, as Peggy Noonan pointed out in her piece this week. There is another adage about government. Process is punishment. I'll give you one more. People are policy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are on the ridiculous, mistaken misbelief that policy is policy and we live in a blind justice system full of laws and regulations that apply equally, that's a good one. We don't. That's ridiculous. Do you actually believe that these charges against Donald Trump for these payments, these legal payments made to Stephanie Clifford, do you actually believe anyone else on planet Earth, anyone other than Donald Trump, would be put through the justice system ringer for this? Of course you don't. Why? I thought policy was policy. Policy isn't policy. People are policy. The judge and Twinkies, Judge Merchant, fake judge, life loser, they made this crime up, folks. Nobody was defrauded. Nobody. 0 people were defrauded. The banks that were supposedly the victims in the valuation case of the properties not only said on the stand under oath they were not the victim, they wanted to do more business with Donald Trump. The legal precedent of dumping a statute of limitations after New York changes the law specifically for Donald Trump. They changed the law, dumping the statute of limitations to go find a felony. That's a federal charge. But Dan, it was in the New York state system. Exactly. They made the whole thing up. It is a fake crime. He is a fake convicted felon because it's a fake crime. He was not convicted of a crime because no crime actually exists. It is time for total personnel warfare. Do you understand that? Everybody has to go. Anyone in the justice system, a United States attorney, an AUSA, an assistant United States attorney, that's what we call them in the system. The intake AUSA, who decides, anyone who sniffed this case, touched this case, tweeted positively about this case, it is the president's full and final discretion to keep you hired in the DOJ. Pam Bondi, soon to be President Trump, soon to be Attorney General, everybody's got to go. It is time for, say it with me, folks, throw it in the chat right now, total personnel warfare. You won't fix a mother thing if you don't fire every single person who looked at this thing and didn't speak out about this abomination. Folks, to listen to the prosecutorial slob Twinkies team during this sentencing, if you heard some of the audio, it's quite boring, but to listen to them talk about the damage Donald Trump did to the legal system in New York by speaking out about this is such an inversion of the truth that I can't believe even disgusting commie filth like these dipshits up in New York working for Twinkies who can't control, who really needs Mounjaro more than anyone I've ever seen, right? There are drugs out there, dude. You don't have to be this much of a slob. You can fix that, Twinkies. You know that? To hear his team talk about how Donald Trump's talking about the New York justice system causing a danger to just after he was attacked Soviet style by said system is such a perversion and inversion of the truth that I'm stunned even these commie losers had the balls to say it. Folks, people are policy. I want to remind you about something about this case for your dumbass liberal friends who are too stupid to figure out they lost the narrative war. I'll stipulate. You have, yes, you might, my liberal friends, of which I count as zero. I will throw this out there. You definitely won the destruction of the constitutional Republic War. You did. You've destroyed it. Congratulations. I know that's what you wanted. You're not going to say it, but I get that's what you wanted, dipshits. You win. You have destroyed it. You have now invented a system where we can invent crimes and call people convicted felons for fake fabricated crimes. You win. But when this total personnel warfare happens and you're all gone and you have to spend a decade re-weaponizing the system again, I want you to ask yourself, you won at what cost? I want to remind you of something, again, that you can remind your dumbass liberal friends, because they are stupid. They're imbeciles. That's why they're liberals and believe stupid stuff, okay? John Edwards was a liberal Democratic presidential candidate. Do any of you remember who he is? He ran as John Kerry's vice president, but he ran for president himself. John Edwards was having an affair with this woman. They later believe had a child. John Edwards used donor money to, the allegations were that he took this donor money and made payments, like, keep quiet kind of payments. John Edwards was prosecuted and won that case. So the government, in one case, this is what I'm telling you about people or policy. Policy isn't policy. The policy of the government then was if you take campaign dollars and try to pay off people for like whatever they call hush money, if you take the campaign dollars and do it, you're a criminal. That was the government's position. Do you understand in the Donald Trump case, they took the exact opposite position? I thought it was policy. Policy isn't policy. People are policy. With Donald Trump, they said, hey, these legal payments, which they called hush money, these legal payments were made out of Donald Trump's personal account, business account, or whatever. They should have been campaign donations. If you're saying to yourself, wait, that's the exact opposite thing. Exactly. We live in a communist system. Folks, the uncertainty going forward is going to decimate and destroy this republic if we don't fix it. Total personnel warfare going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, cabinet secretaries are not enough. We need undersecretaries. deputy undersecretaries. We need rank and file special agents in charge in the office. We need AUSAs. We need intake people. This is going to be total personnel warfare if you want to fix this because of the uncertainty in the system. The whole idea of a constitutional republic, in contrast to a dictatorship, commies, and tyranny, is that you can't just be locked up for any invented reason and then, God forbid, convicted. Imagine this. We have a system of supposed checks and balances vertically and horizontally, where even if they do lock you up for some alleged crime, you're supposed to get a unanimous verdict of jurors that are supposed to see through the bullshit. That's after an indictment, where the grand jury's supposed to see through it. Every single one of these things failed. Everything. The system has totally broken down.
Yeah, they did that with the January 6 people too. They arrested a lot of these people for walking through the building, didn't do anything, didn't hurt anything, walked through our building, arrested them, and then didn't give them a court date. Just let them sit there. And I know I've said this before, but like, if you do something wrong and you get convicted and you go to jail and they say you're going to jail for 3 years, that's terrible. But as soon as you get in there, you can start checking those days off. Let's say you've been in there for 2 months before your court date. They'll give you that time served. So if you have 12 months, but you were in there 2 months before court, you only have 10 months left. When you're waiting to go to court and haven't been convicted, you are literally just sitting there. So you could be sitting there for years. And some of these people have. And there's a thing called due process where they have to come up with something to indict you or they got to kick you free. So this doesn't happen. There's been so much corruption in this DOJ, FBI, CIA. It's unbelievable. And Trump was able to weather that insane storm because he has a lot of money, because he has a lot of status, because he has a massive team of lawyers and people surrounding him who are smarter than him, all working to make sure they can push through this mud. But that's Trump. Could you imagine a civilian like me or any one of you or most of you? I won't say any one of you. There's no way we could weather that storm. Look at the January 6th. Those are regular people like us. Every single one of them, including some like 80 and 90-year-old grandmas, had the FBI bang their door down, take them to jail for walking through what is our building, something that we pay for with our tax money. And what's even worse is we pay for all those salaries of all those agents and FBI people that came and arrested those people. And this is no knock on the people on the ground. Like the FBI, I call them soldiers. The guys out in the field, fantastic. Love them, represent them. Police, military, you won't find a guy that respects them more than me. It's not them. It's the ones sitting in Washington who never had to be on the beat, who never had to go into war, carry a gun, fight for their life, fight for our flag. They just sit there and start pointing fingers to make all these other people do stuff that they don't want to do, but it's part of their job just so they can get kickbacks and make themselves, enrich themselves, handle a favor owed to some donor, or do something for them to get them reelected so they can continue to enrich themselves. It's just absolute corruption. And that's why they hate Trump, because Trump doesn't need their money. He doesn't have any donor favors to give because he didn't take their money. He just wants to come and say, to hell with all you guys. This is too much. Let's go back to the glory years of America when everything was great. When the American dream was right here. All you had to do was work hard and you could get there. You knew the next generation, our youth, our children, have a real good shot at having a better life than we did, even if we have good lives, and the generations continue. So it's hard to hate that guy, but they do, because that means a lot of those guys are going to be out of work. That means all the files are going to be opened up, so the corruption is going to get brought to light. And these people are not going to be able to continue to do this scandalous stuff to us to help themselves.
So liberals, I will give you your day. You wanted to destroy the system and create a system of communist-style tyranny. You did. Congratulations. You won. You absolutely won. But make no mistake, if you think this war is over and you won the narrative war, wait till total personnel warfare happens and some of these same judicial weapons are turned on you. The difference is we actually have real crimes to investigate, like Joe Biden and his access to China and how he sold the country out and what Barack Obama was up to. Don't mistake this little laughy back and forth conversation yesterday for some kind of new buddy-buddy thing. That's not what I heard. Pierce's gag order is done with too, which is good. Donald Trump should never stop talking about this, ever. Total personnel warfare moving forward. Everybody gets fired, folks. You didn't speak out about it. You didn't have the balls. And don't tell me, I don't want to hear your lectures out there. If you're a federal government employee in the legal system that sat on your ass and did nothing, well, what did you do? I resigned my job, dipshits. That's why I'm here and I'm not still an agent. I didn't retire. I love when people tweet, oh, man, you got your government pension. I don't. You have government health care. No, I don't. I did not retire. I resigned. I don't need any lectures. Thanks. I actually had the balls to do something. You should grow a set. Let me take a quick break here. I want to get back to this because this is really under my skin, folks. Hey, if you own or carry a gun for protection, you need to join the USCCA.
So what do you think about all that? I mean, it's unbelievable. I guess it is believable now because it's been going on for so long. But yeah, don't think that they're still not going to try to keep Trump from getting inaugurated, even though it's coming up so soon. So like I said yesterday, I hope he has private security and a lot of it for the next couple weeks because he cannot rely on the same FBI, CIA, DOJ, and Biden administration to keep him safe until inauguration. That's not his FBI. That's not his Secret Service. That's not his CIA. And that's not his DOJ. That's the same force that did everything for the last 4 years to lie, cheat, and do anything possible to keep Trump from becoming president. Would you trust those people to keep you safe? If I was your friend and I came and I always, no matter what,
You've seen today.
made it to where you never felt safe. You go in a store, I would start sticking Snicker bars in your pocket and then walk out and laugh when the alarm goes off. And I did that a couple times. The next week, would you want me to go into a grocery store with you again? I know that's totally much smaller than what Trump has going on, but it's kind of the same thing. They've done him wrong so much, he can't trust him. Yes, I know he talks good about the Secret Service. I feel like he has to. And again, there's probably a lot of Secret Service who are the feet on the ground that are amazing. I know the guy that was sitting behind Trump at the funeral yesterday is his right-hand man. That was the first guy to jump on top of Trump at Butler. There's some great, great people in there. But until he has the power of the top of each one of these agencies, he needs to make sure he has his own private security. J.D. Vance is ex-military. He knows a lot of ex-military people who are on his side. Hegseth, trust me, they know a lot of retired military who would happily be private security for Donald Trump. And I bet you that's already in the mix. All right, back to Bongino.
Under any circumstances, don't take the risk. Listen, I just want to wrap here, folks, on this topic because I have a lot more to get to, and I want to digest what happened yesterday with Trump and Obama. Because again, there's a tendency to get emotional about these things. When Donald Trump doesn't see the world that way, he sees it transactionally. You need to see it that way too. Understand going forward that transactionally speaking, we have a problem. What's the problem? Divorce the emotions. Don't do what liberals do, divorce the emotions. What is our problem? What's the problem? The problem to fix is we have people in positions of authority who can have people arrested and prosecuted. Assistant district attorneys, city states attorneys, assistant United States attorneys, U.S. attorneys, who have become total commies and have weaponized their power. How do we fix that problem? Everyone needs to be fired. Total personnel warfare. We obviously can't fire people in the state system, Donald Trump, but we can sure as shit take care of the federal system. So this is the clip I was talking about yesterday. What exactly this was at Jimmy Carter's funeral. This kind of went nuclear all over the internet. What exactly were President Trump and Barack Obama talking about yesterday? Well, I don't know because I'm not a lip reader, but apparently people who work with the New York Post are lip readers. They're joking? No, I'm not joking at all. So Kyle Becker has a tweet out, and we have a decent idea now. According to this lip reader, I want to be clear about what was actually said during this meeting. And again, I don't want you to get emotional about this. The left gets emotional. I saw Don Lemon freaking out online. Oh my gosh, you're talking to Hitler, Obama. Don't do that. Trump is not stupid. He knows what he's doing. Apparently, he told Obama he needed a quiet place to talk to him about a matter of importance. This lip reader, Jeremy Friedman, scroll through that if you could, he said, I've pulled out of that. It's the conditions. Can you imagine that, Trump said. Afterwards, Obama laughs. Trump says, and after, I will. Camera then cuts away, and Trump said to Obama, call me at the foy after. Yep, I'm not sure if foy is an accurate what he was saying. And Obama responded, can you just, it should be good. And then he says, Trump said to him, I can't talk. We have to find a quiet place. It's a matter of importance. We need to do this outside so we can deal with it certainly today. What were they talking about? Folks, there's 1,000 different theories. Donald Trump answered a question yesterday about it, but didn't say anything specific about, were they talking about the Iran deal? I don't know. There's a lot of speculation. I'm applying the Bongino rule, which is I'll wait to see if more information comes out and Trump says a little more about what exactly they were talking about. I don't know. But again, I'm seeing people getting really upset about this. I'm not talking about the left. Of course, we expect them to break down and melt down. Oh my gosh, Hitler, fascist, because they're morons and they're emotional. Folks, we need to find out, and we are going to need to get to a source eventually about what happened with the Iran deal and the Spygate operation. And for those of you who don't know the background, they are all tied together. This thing started, for those of you who are unaware, and I encourage you, you can get it from the library. I'm not trying to sell you a book, I promise. If you read my book, Follow the Money or Exonerated or even Spygate, I have 3 books on this. You will see this all started with General Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn had real issues with the intelligence community's failures and the Iran deal. So he was targeted by Obama. The Iran deal, Iran, and Mike Flynn are tied into the entire weaponization of government operation. That's why the whole spying operation started with Mike Flynn, and that's why the FBI went after him first when he was the national security advisor at the White House. This is all tied into the Iran deal. Is that what he's talking about there, Donald Trump, with President Obama? I don't know. I'm applying the wait and see Bongino rule, give it 24 to 72 hours, and we'll see. But I'm sure as hell going to comment on it, because if that's what it's about, Trump knows what's up, is about to start overturning some rocks, and he knows Obama knows too. Is he trying to get Obama to speak up about it? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I would be very careful jumping to conclusions. I saw that with the Fetterman thing yesterday too. A whole bunch of people were really upset about, Fetterman going to visit Mar-a-Lago, the Democrat senator from Pennsylvania. Why? What are you upset about? Don't get emotional. We're not leftists. Donald Trump needs plus ones, including Democrats, on pieces of legislation. If Fetterman's a plus one, what do we give a shit? I'm never going to vote for the guy. I would never vote for a Democrat in my life, and you shouldn't either. But if we can get the guy to plus one us on immigration and tax cuts and other things, why would we be stupid not to take it?
That's another thing. What the left wants us to do is personalize all of these politicians, because when we personalize them, then they can use scandal and they can use lies, manipulation, propaganda to make you dislike that person. Don't look at them like that. I look at them as tools, like tools in my shed. What can you do for me? I want lower taxes. Let me grab that tool. I want less government. Oh, Trump. That's a great tool. You use them as tools because we pay for them. They work for us. When you start doing that, or like Bongino says, use them as a +1, -1 spreadsheet, then the scandals and stuff don't really matter. Now, if the scandal is like terrible stuff, I don't want to say it on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about, then yeah, we judge people like that and we want them out of there. But a lot of it is just BS. So if you start looking at these people as tools and not as personalities, then the left has no power. Yeah, that's it. Like you look at Pete Hegseth, they want you to be like, he's a Fox News analyst. And they even go, and a weekend Fox News, like he's not even good enough to get prime time. Well, that's what he does in retirement. He really was a war veteran who is well decorated, and all ex-military and current military love that guy. They don't want to tell you that because they want to make you not like him. But if you look at Pete Hegseth as a tool, as Secretary of Defense, well, he has a lot of military experience. He's decorated. People like him. He's assertive. He's calm-natured, so he doesn't get reactionary. He's a good tool for the job. You start thinking like that, then the left loses their power. The left will only win if they can use the useful idiot, because they never campaign on policy or campaign on things that benefit us. Their only campaign slogan is, we're better than that guy. Vote for us because we're not him. Vote for us because fill in the blank, scandal, propaganda, lies, manipulation. They never are like, we want to lower taxes. We want to shrink government. We want to make housing more available and more affordable. We want to lower gas prices. No, they go to their donors. What favor do I owe you? Okay, they put it in here. They don't really tell you what's going on. And then they try to make the other guy look real bad and say, at least we're not him. Vote for us. And it works because you got to think, a lot of people aren't like us who watch this stuff and do our research and know what's going on in the world on a day-to-day basis. The average person might see CNN as they're walking through the airport, and whatever's on that lower third headline, they're like, oh, Trump's a racist. Wow. When he's friends with Mike Tyson and all these other people who adore the guy, and he's obviously not a racist, but that's the useful idiot. The person that just sees the headline as they're walking by. The average person probably only watches maybe 10, 15 minutes of news a day, and that's saying a lot, some much less. So they know as long as they keep the lie on TV, hoping that that person that just happens to turn it on for a second sees it, they got him. That's it. So use politicians and vote for politicians like you'd vote for a tool that you need in the yard. And then the Democrats lose their power.
Be stunned how many people I saw, even on our side. I can't believe he's hosted Fed. What can't you believe? Why would you not believe that? I want you to understand, though, slowly, even in the narrative war, it's slowly dawning on the absolute dumbest liberals in the media that nothing they've been told by Democrat operatives about Trump in the past is true. Where'd I get that quote from? Our good friend Glenn Greenwald, one of the few actual journalists left. This thing happened, what I'm talking about with Trump and Obama yesterday. You just saw the video. And look at this, as Asawin Susabang. I know this guy. Well, this guy's just a complete goofball, life loser. Wrote some BS article about me a long time ago, turned into a court thing. Here's Asawin Susabang. He says, so Trump and Obama are just hanging out next to each other at Jimmy Carter's funeral. Nice visual there. He says, I'm aware I'm not a former president or statesman or anything, but if I truly believe the guy's a fascist, I'm not showing my personal respects to anything, sharing a pew with that asshole. They're slowly coming around to the fact that every single thing they've been told is absolutely bullshit, folks. You know what? Can we go to Tarloff? I need a little Tarloff break. Folks, you know the queen of the Queen of the carriage. I need a little Tarloff break after that just fireball of an opening about this disgusting filth bullshit case up in New York in the sentencing. Listen to me. Liberals are slowly coming around to the fact that everything Democrat operatives tell them is bullshit. Everything. Tarloff is an op, okay? She's always been an op. She comes to the Fox News 5 set, I've seen it 1,000 times, with a list of talking points people give her. She does no homework on anything, and it's why she constantly has to retract stuff and looks like an absolute buffoon. She does no homework. She's not smart. She's the queen of the Karens. She gets destroyed every single time. She's like this Asawin Susabang person, except that she's the Democrat operative telling them that Trump's Hitler and all this other stuff, or insinuating it or implying it and attacking this guy all the time. I'm going to show you what I mean coming up in a second. She gets absolutely wrecked again, putting out garbage, nonsense, junk. Quick break, and we'll get right back to that. It's our last break of the show. As you can tell, today I'm in a mood. This Judge Merchant definitely has me. Folks, you got a dog?
Yeah. What do you guys think about Jessica Turlov? For you that watch Fox, I'm not the biggest Fox News fan, but I do really like Jesse Waters, and I like Greg Gutfeld. I feel like when Tucker left, Jesse was the only smart one that was like, what Tucker did was the move. He left Fox because he just was going to say what he wanted to say, and he wasn't going to let Rupert Murdoch and all these people dictate what he says. So he left, went to X, and went from 3 million views a night to tens, hundreds of millions of views. So Jesse, being the smart person that he was, got on primetime and was like, I'm going to live in that same area. And for that reason, I like watching him. And Gutfeld's just funny. But yeah, every time I see the 5 and I see Jessica Turlov on there, I'm like, oh my God, she is so insufferable. But it is kind of funny that she gets absolutely owned every time she goes on. My favorite is when Judge Janine is on there because she does not hold back on her and gets her to stutter because Bongino's right. She literally comes with these stupid headline talking points that have already been debunked 100 times, but she's been told, like the puppet she is, to continue to say these. Again, to get the useful idiot who only watches the news 5-10 minutes a day. But she's at a table full of people that are going to call her out. So I don't know why they keep her on. It must help the ratings because she gets owned and people like it. Because, I mean, that's the only reason I would ever listen to her. But, yeah. So I can't wait to hear what Dan has in store for this Jessica Turlov insufferable human being. So let's go back to it.
U/Dan to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/Dan to enroll. Hillsdale.edu/Dan for free. Hillsdale.edu/Dan. Check it out. Thank you, folks. Here it is, folks. The queen of the Karen strikes again. Again, these people put out misinformation every single day. It's how we got to this place with Donald Trump and the sentencing. It's how we got to the LA wildfires, the failures of government. These media people, there's nothing Tarloff won't do to protect left-wing commies. It doesn't matter. LA's burning to the ground. The mayor cut the budget. Here's Tarloff telling you a fairy tale about it. Check this out.
There's also, which I think is particularly the most damaging story, which is that there was $17 million cut from the fire budget. And that's also inaccurate. So last year's budget had an extra $17 million because they bought one-off expenses. These SCBAs for respiratory protection for firefighters and new suits. Those aren't in the new budget because you buy them once every several years. Also, there's an additional $50 million that's been set aside for the fire department. And when they were doing the budget negotiations, it wasn't finished. So that money is coming. There will actually be more money in the fire budget next year.
Folks, Liz McDonald from Fox, who actually knows her stuff, unlike the Queen of the Karens, Jessica Tarlow. Sorry, I just love reading the chat, guys. I know you guys get a kick out of Queen of the Karens here. Sorry, Jessica. Unfortunately, this is incorrect. She could have looked it up and done her homework, but Jessica Tarlow doesn't actually believe in homework. In fiscal year 2022-2023, LA Fire Department had a budget of $837 million for fiscal year 2022. The budget was reduced by $17.6 million, bringing it to $819 million. I mean, she could have, again, just looked that up. Obviously chose not to because she is, that's why she's constantly making retractions and things on TV. You understand they just make stuff up. This is why liberals believe crazy bullshit. Now, I want to tie this all together for you. And this was unintentional because I was unaware of what was going to happen with the sentencing today. The fake sentencing on the fake crime by the fake judge of Donald Trump in the New York City courtroom. It was rumors it was going to be an unconditional discharge, which it turned out to be. He's not going to be any jail time, which would have been absurd. However, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I couldn't get out ahead of it. But this article is absolutely glorious, and you need to read it because it covers the parallels between the Soviet Union and Glasnost. When the Soviet Union opened up under Gorbachev, the Glasnost era, Reagan, Gorbachev, and later George H.W. Bush, when the media opened up and started reporting on the horrors of what had happened under the Soviet Union, ladies and gentlemen, it was a massive shock to the system. The author in this, Vladimir Kantarovich and Eugene Kantarovich, the gist of the article is that you're now going to start to see this with some Democrats, not the Tarloffs, because they propagandize on purpose. That's what they do. But you're going to see a lot of rank-and-file Democrats start to switch over to the Republican Party as they realized that the press is now going to be forced in the Trump era, as the books are open, to cover what happened in the prior 8 years of Obama and 4 years of Biden, which were effectively Soviet-style tyranny. Do you get the parallel? Do you see what he's saying? He's saying this was such a shock to people who finally read when Gorbachev opened up the press. Oh my gosh, all this stuff we heard about from our families, but we were afraid to talk about is real. He talks about all the stuff that's coming out now that you've been lied to. Here's the list in this American Glasnost. You know, the list continues. Turns out a virus that killed millions of people was most likely engineered by China and partially funded by us. For years, public health establishment labeled this a right-wing conspiracy theory. Now we also discuss the harm inflicted on children by school closings, conversations that at one point were forbidden as dangerous misinformation. They note some participants in these abuses, such as Meta CEO Zuckerberg, are confessing now how they reluctantly contributed. This week, he announced his company's ending its fact-checking program and reducing censorship, explaining that America's reached the cultural tipping point. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have. We have reached not just an American tipping point where the media and the Tarloffs of the world are still going to propagandize people because that's what they do. They've got to protect the communist insulated enterprise and government no matter what. That people died in Los Angeles, that their houses burned down, matters not to far-left liberals. What matters is protecting the collective concentrated power of government and Democrat power. Listen to me. They don't give a shit about you. Do you understand? Far left, I'm not talking about all Democrats. I want to be very clear about that because I'm not going to do what they do to us. Listen to me clearly. Liberal, far left radicals don't give a shit who's dead, who's kidnapped, Laken Riley, who's raped, who's murdered, whose house burns down. They don't give a shit. They will lie to protect their big government power no matter what. Does everybody in the chat, everybody understand that? Every single person here, they don't care. Can you imagine a far left liberal government voting to protect rape gangs in a country, raping children because it would hurt organized, liberal, far-left communist power? Oh, that's not happening. Oh, yes, it is. It is. It's exactly what's happening. Matter of fact, in that Wall Street Journal article, they note that even children were violated under the old order. There's now a sudden frankness going on about mutilating children. And then last week, many Americans discovered, thanks to Elon Musk, by the way, for the first time, that Pakistani child rape gangs existed in the UK, which were reported on years ago. Why now? Can only be explained through glasnost.